My hopes that the mantises would ignore the village were unfounded, and I think we were all wondering if this morning's sunrise would be our last. Despite all my practice, my rifle felt heavy and foreign in my shaking hands as the swarm advanced. Fortunately, they weren't our only visitors. The villagers erupted in cheers as lightning and fire tore through the advancing insects from above. Some chanted a name, Wally al-Aswad. The rider, still hidden behind black robes, didn't acknowledge the ovation. With swift efficiency, their small flight of wyverns decimated the mantis swarm and made for the horizon. Wally al-Aswad. I need to meet this person, if only to thank them. Just who or what Wally al-Aswad is depends on who you ask. Some of the villagers have attached a religious connotation to the figure, believing it to be some sort of heavenly guardian who appears to worthy in their time of need. One villager is even convinced Wally is an extraterrestrial. I don't deal in beliefs. I deal in empirical evidence, and that means nothing about Wally is certain until I can meet them. I won't forget this village's kindness, especially after granting me a morellatops and supplies for my journey. But this is why I'm here, to find answers. I'm definitely more prepared for this desert than before, and better equipped. With my morellatops offering a large mobile supply of water, and radar looking out for the weather, the only threat I really have to worry about is major predators. Also, giant golems. I'm actually impressed with the shape I'm in, if I do say so myself. I think I even saw some ab definition the other day. Took me long enough. I've been living without sweets for ages, after all. You'd think I'd get fit much quicker. Great. Now I miss sweets. The thing I'd do to taste chocolate again. It took weeks of searching, but I finally caught a glimpse of Wally al-Aswad. I knew I was getting close when I found a series of fulgurite formations this morning, and sure enough, I spotted several wyverns later in the afternoon, with a lone rider among them. The rider clearly saw me too, because soon enough the wyverns were circling overhead. I waved and yelled in greeting, even calling out Mei Yin's name just in case. Yet without so much as a nod, the wyverns regrouped and flew off. Wally's not a social butterfly, it seems, but I'm not letting them off the hook that easily. Of course Wally lives on a bloody mountain. Of course they do. I saw their wyverns land at the summit yesterday, and they haven't left. This has to be their home, unfortunately. The paths were too narrow for my morellatops, so I had to leave it behind. It should know to wander off if I don't return for it. Not that I can really afford to worry about it. The climb's doing a fine job of kicking my ass even without distractions. I swear if I don't have a six-pack after climbing a mountain in the bloody desert, I'm going to be awfully cross. I don't know what kind of reception I expected when I reached the summit, but laughter wasn't one of them. Yet that was exactly what I heard when I finally let myself collapse and started flinging every obscenity I could think of at this damned mountain. The bemused laughter of an old woman. Wally al-Aswad is definitely no guardian angel. She was quick to dismiss those particular rumors with remarks about how the gods have abandoned this wretched place, though often enigmatically. I have a feeling that I'll need to be patient with her. It turns out that I didn't find Wally al-Aswad, she found me. While the portal I used to get here opened with little fanfare on my end, apparently the other side created quite the spectacle. According to Wally, it was easy for her to spot from atop her wyvern. She started tailing me soon afterwards. I guess her timely interventions were no coincidence. She didn't seem very surprised when I told her about the obelisks. Their guardians, or even that of this desert, is actually a space station. Either she knows more than she's saying, or experience has grinded the surprise right out of her. I really missed flying. There's no replicating the feeling, and no replacement for seeing a sunrise amongst the clouds. Wally probably started these wyvern riding sessions just to give herself an escape hatch when our conversations get too personal. But I can't say that I mind. Despite their appearance, riding a wyvern is just as pleasant as riding an Argentavis, even without a saddle. By design, perhaps? No matter, genetically engineered or not, they are magnificent creatures. It's a risky proposition, but I absolutely must observe them in the wild sometime. I can't pass up an opportunity like that. Now that Wally has deemed my wyvern riding skills acceptable, she's finally agreed to show me around the region. From what I can gather, Wally has been here for a very long time, maybe longer than Rockwell was on the island. She knows the history of every village and ruin. Apparently, there was once a great city in the southeast, but it was wiped out at some point. She's still numb on a lot of details, but I'll just have to keep prying. Radar's been helpful in that regard, while Lee definitely seems to be in a better mood when the fuzzball's around. That little charmer certainly earned her keep. I'm grateful that Wally allows me time to study the local wildlife, but I suspect she only does it out of amusement. She always says something like, "Why do you spend so much time on these scribbles that no one will read?" I never have a good retort. It's true that no one else may ever read my dossiers, as I have no way to reproduce or distribute them as long as I'm trapped on one of these space stations. When I started them, they were a passion project, created out of my love for nature and its creatures. Now, I guess they're just part of my identity. Writing them helps remind me of who I am. I can't believe it! Wally spotted someone wandering in the desert the other day, and it turned out to be none other than Edmund Rockwell. I just about burst into tears when I recognized him. Apparently, he had heard that Nerva was holding me captive and sought to negotiate my release. That led him to the cave, and eventually he wound up here. Awfully sweet of him to go through all that trouble for my sake. Strangely, Wally claims she saw a portal open up, far away from her territory, shortly before mine did. I guess that was Rockwell's, though Wally arrived at the scene too late to track him. Rockwell theorized that the portals may have taken us through time as well as space. Considering my present company, I'm inclined to agree with him. Wally has been much quieter since we found Rockwell. I guess she's just letting us catch up. However, she did say something interesting when we were recounting Nova's ambitions for the island. This place would never allow anyone to master it, she said. And when I asked her to explain, she told me that the great city of the southeast was destroyed by the obelisk itself. Now it's just conjecture, but it's interesting to think about. Could the curators of these stations be monitoring human behavior and clipping its wings should the survivors ever band together and fly too close to the sun? If each station represents a different group in a larger experiment, resetting human progress would make a lot of sense. It's a bit grim though, isn't it? Yikes. I don't think Rockwell's been sleeping much. I awoke last night to find him studying a strange piece of metal by firelight. I guess some tribe gave it to him as a gift, along with a very familiar-looking artifact. I insisted that we show those items to Wally, and she recognized them as the property of this station's lone guardian. With all that she knows, I'm not surprised that she's activated the obelisk before. Hell, it sounds like the old battle axe has even slain the beast herself. Since we have the said guardian's artifact, Wally says that we can leave this station anytime. I suppose we may as well. Rockwell's eager to depart. As much as I like Wally, I've had my fill of sand. The transporter that can take us back to the control center station is in the ruins of another city, south of the mountains. Wally believes that it was destroyed by the obelisk, just like the city in the southeast. I didn't press her for details, not that I'd have gotten any. Wally is more tight-lipped about those ruins than anything. I had to practically beg her to take me to the southeastern city, and while we were there, she spent most of her time just gazing out at the distance. No sense in bringing her mood down with that rubbish now. After all that she's done for me, I'd like to give her a nice, proper farewell. Having seen us through the ruins and safely to the platform, Wally has taken her leave. After doing so much for me, I was sad to see her go, but at least I got her to smile before she left. Well, me and Radar. I can't very well take the little critter with me, so I officially gave Wally ownership of her. They'll be good for each other, I think. Gah, I wrote Wally up there. Twice. I suppose all habits die hard, but it's not really her name, is it? I always knew that was the case, but she never told me to call her anything else, at least not until now. Well, at any rate, cheers, Raya. It was a pleasure to have known you.